We're going to get started with our webinar, Leading Through Social, How Schools Can Strengthen Trust, Transparency, and Engagement Online. We're excited to welcome so many folks to our webinar today and look forward to hearing some best practices, proven workflows, and tools that make managing social media in education simpler and more impactful. If you have questions today, please drop those into the questions box as we go through, and time permitting, we will answer those at the end. Before we get started, just a little bit about us. Social News Desk empowers critical communicators with powerful, secure social media management and archiving software trusted by more than 10,000 professionals. We were founded in 2010, and since then we've proudly supported America's largest news companies, cities, government agencies, school districts, universities, and businesses who require powerful, always-on social media tools. And just a little bit about me, I'm Sarah Lloyd, the head of product success and evangelism here at Social News Desk, based in San Antonio, Texas. I've been with the team for 11 years now, and prior to joining S&D, I managed social media and worked in several newsrooms. And I was actually a Social News Desk customer before I joined the team. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. The address is there on the screen. And I'm pleased today to welcome our panelist, Deanne Hayes. Deanne, please go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Deanne, and I work at Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And a big part of my job is doing social media for the university, handling all of our social media accounts, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of that good stuff, managing a social team of students, and then also helping tell good news stories about the university.
All right. And Robin, I see you just popped on. Thanks so much, Robin. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Robin Chastain. I'm the Executive Director of Communications and Public Relations for Kennewick School District that's located in Eastern Washington State.
All right, great. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in with our first question. And you ladies feel free to jump in whenever you like. So our first question today, how has your role as a school communicator changed with the rise of social media and shifting community expectations?
So I think I'll start. So social media is definitely our biggest platform in reaching a lot of people, including students, parents, potential students, and even just the local community around us, because Murfreesboro is a college town. So everybody knows about MTSU, whether you're directly involved with MTSU or not. So the way that we have done things, if we've kind of shifted our mindset that social media, it's an around the clock type thing. It's not just a 8 to 4:30. It doesn't stop whenever I log out for the day. Like it keeps going, right? And a way that my role has really changed is building a student team. And I have 10 students who I rely on to help me cover events that are happening after hours, right? And they also help me keep track of the latest social trends, and then they will turn around and produce content in the form of like TikToks and Reels and that sort of thing. And so it's just been a great way for me to kind of pass the baton a little bit and give them experience that's going to be beneficial for them once they graduate. And it helps me as a single like person kind of overseeing all the accounts, being able to do more content and show more things that happen on our campus.
Very cool. Love that. Love that you are pulling those students in and giving them some experience early on. That's really awesome. Robin, how about you? How have things changed for you? Oh, you are muted though.
So our school district, we have about 19,000 students, and we have about 3,600 staff members to give you an idea of the size. And we probably have definitely over 100 social media accounts and different channels and pages that we oversee here in the communications department. So I'm the executive director. I have one digital content manager that works really closely with me, and that is our entire staff for that size of operation. So we heavily rely on the different contacts and content managers at the schools themselves to feed into this bigger social media machine that we have. So it's definitely like social media is a huge focus of our school district. It's a huge focus of our school board. They're very active on social media. And so as a school district, we need to be responsive to that. They want to be sharing our content constantly as school board members. And they want us to be in the forelight of everything social media. So it's a huge shift for our school district from where we were even 5 years ago. We've always been in social media, but I would say it's more important than ever for a school district our size. And then we heavily rely on, in Washington State, on local ballot measures to fund our schools continually. And so social media plays a huge role in that part as well. So.
All right, awesome. Yeah, managing more than 100 social media accounts for your district, that sounds like quite a job. All right, so speaking of which, what strategies have been most effective for you guys in building trust and transparency with your community online?
I think for us at MTSU, just being reliable and showing up, right? I mean, whether it's a normal day on campus, whether it's a day where there is an issue going on, our online community knows that we're going to be transparent about whatever the issue is that may arise. And we're going to do our best to communicate that with them as quickly as possible. And, you know, with the help of S&D, we're able to do that even quicker because we're able to reach all of our accounts, all of our followers, which is about 400,000 followers across all of our platforms, you know, in just a push of a button. So.
All right, that's great. Robin, how about you?
Very similar as well. I would say the one feature that we hadn't really thought of as much when we entered into using Social News Desk was the ability to monitor all the comments and conversations that were happening around our school district. We would have to, you know, go find the post, look to see what people were writing, and to be able to monitor those conversations in real time has really helped us in the areas of building trust and transparency, because we can respond to what the conversation is in real time. And if there's confusion around an issue, if there's rumors being spread or misinformation, we can jump into the conversation and right-side those very quickly.
Yeah, that's great that you guys are able to get ahead of things using some of those listening tools. That's awesome. All right, our next question. Can you share a recent example of a social media post or campaign that really resonated with your school community?
Okay, so this one I'm like really excited to talk about. So back in the spring and even into the summer, we did something called MTSU Majors as Jellycats. And if you don't know what Jellycats are, they are these super cute little stuffed animals that like little kids down to my little boy's age, all the way up to like college kids and older, are obsessed with. Like they're super soft and cute, and I mean, they're adorable, right? And so what we did was we created a slide where it had the graduation jelly cat, right? So he's a little egg and he has a graduation cap on, and we always started with the slide that said MTSU Majors as Jellycats. And so we would go through and pick a handful of majors, right? And then we would find a corresponding Jellycat. So for example, like we did journalism, right? So that would be a microphone Jellycat, or we did an art major, that may be a pencil, or we did a nursing major, and that would be a heart, you know, things like that, things that would, you know, kind of go along with that major or whatnot. And the response that we got from that the first time we posted it, it was wild. Like it was not something that we expected. And the likes, the comments, all of it, like it blew up in the best possible way. Like students saying, oh, I want you to do my major and, you know, do aerospace next, or do, you know, recording industry next, or whatever. And so we rode that wave for a while, right? Like kind of through the summer, and then it kind of died down, right? But that was something that was a lot of fun to do and just kind of see everyone excited about and sharing. And then another thing that we do is kind of a long-term thing that we've been doing for a while, and it's called Major Mondays, and it's just what it sounds like, right? One of my students will go out and interview another student about their major, like why did you choose MTSU? What opportunities have you had in your major? What opportunities have you had at MTSU? And what organizations are you involved in? And we highlight that one major for that particular video. Usually they're 60 seconds or less, and that just kind of helps kind of build our brand to the community, and then try to reach potential students who may not know, like, oh, they have this aerospace program, or oh, they have this really cool recording industry program, things like that. And it helps them kind of see themselves on our campus.
That's super cool. I love that. So everybody feel free to steal Jellycats unless it's too late, in which case don't steal it, but steal the next big character that's coming around. I really love that, kind of creating an analog with your majors on campus. That's really cool. Robin, how about you? Is there a campaign that's really gone well for you guys recently?
I was just thinking of Deanne's idea there, and I was like, how would that translate with Labubus, right? That could be pretty scary.
I'm sure there's a way, so yes.
I'm gonna have to get you guys together after, you can talk about it.
Yeah, I'm a University of Oregon Duck, and I saw that they dressed the duck up in a Labubu costume for a game, and I was like, oh, very clever, very clever. Yeah, so we have a very proud and patriotic community here, and they love everything that has to do with just patriotic things. And so like the posts that are doing really well for us are the ones that have to do with, I'm looking back on our dashboard right now, and the one that really took off was our skills center firefighting and EMS students waking up early to go to we have a Piece of the World Trade Center here in Kennewick. And so it was a ceremony honoring the September 11th victims. And so that did really well. Everything that has to do with celebrating our staff is also doing really well. So staff recognition, and I know that a lot of our audience are our staff members, and they love to read about themselves and each other and celebrate the great work that they're doing. And then on the other posts that are getting a lot of attention right now, and we've really kind of shifted the narrative from something negative to something positive, is that our school district, we actually learned that one of our students was making plans to have a mass shooting type situation on one of our campuses, and through a TikTok video manifesto that they posted in Florida. A student there saw it in Florida, reported it got to the FBI, and over the weekend it was, the student was identified as one of our students and had access to a lot of weapons, and it could have been a huge disaster. But one of the really positives to come out of that is we're really celebrating that student in Florida who reported it and saw something and said something. And so a lot of our social media has been around the turning that situation into a positive. So there was that school that would have been the targeted school has written hundreds of thank you notes to the student in Florida. And so we're posting a lot of those stories where students at the school are organizing these efforts to recognize the kid in Florida and also shed light on the positive rather than the negative.
That's great. That's so great. And that actually kind of answers my next question, which is, how do you balance positive storytelling with the need to communicate difficult or sensitive topics? And I think turning that obviously very negative situation into such a positive and such a great example of, you know, how students can really make a difference and impact not only their community, but communities all across the country, just by speaking up. That's so great. Deanne, how about you guys? How do you guys sort of balance the sunny days with the rainy days?
I mean, it's definitely always easier to tell happy stories, right? Like that's what everyone wants to see on social media. You don't want to see the doom and gloom. But you know, there are going to be days that are hard, and there are going to be hard topics that we have to talk about. And you know, sometimes those topics are a little bit different just because we are a university, so it may be a more adult-like topics. But, you know, I think one of the best things that we do is we try to be as honest as we can in our post, and especially whenever it is a difficult topic. And, you know, I think we try to stay true to the university's values. And one of the things that, you know, that we've done in the past, we lost a student last year, and that was a pretty traumatic event for lots of people on campus. And one of the ways that we, you know, kind of honored her memory was we took a break from social media, right? Like we had a pause, and that's okay to do that, right? And you know, the only thing that was posted for social media on that day was, you know, information about her vigil and photos, beautiful photos that were taken by one of our photographers, of the visual. And that was just a way, you know, to kind of let our campus community know, like, we hear you, we see you, and it's okay to take a break. And some of these things are really, really hard. And, you know, we also use that opportunity to kind of, you know, let people know about resources on campus, whether it's counseling, whether it's, you know, things like that. So,
Yeah, that sounds like it was a really hard time, but I love the advice of taking a pause. I mean, even if it's not a pause for a couple of days, but even just taking a step back and, you know, being ready to, like, putting yourself in the right mindset to communicate about that situation. Robin, anything you wanna add there?
Yeah, I don't know. As a K-12 education, we don't post a lot of the more urgent or crisis safety related information online just because it could take on a life of its own, and we want to make sure that people are getting the facts. We prefer to use um, a our communication system that speaks directly with families, so that they're getting those messages directly. Um, but yeah, we kind of avoid social media in those instances. A lot of our partners do use social media we're very close, work really closely with Kennewick Police Department here. We have a very unique relationship where police officers have badge access to every door in our school district in all 33 of our schools. So they're really like partners in safety. And so one strategy that we use is, rather than to be the bearer of the bad news or the communicating the details of a very sensitive safety situation, we prefer to have our police partners be the voice of that news, and we work with them by sharing. So they're very active on social media. I'm sure that most people have seen a trend where their local police and law enforcement are getting very active in social media. And it's the same here in our community. And so we work with them on sharing that bad news. So there's things that they can say that we can't say. We don't want to jeopardize their investigations. And so we work together, and I'm in constant contact with their public information officers on how that message is going to come out in our community.
Yeah, that's great that you guys have that really strong partnership, and I think that really speaks to, you know, how schools, governments can work together to keep their communities informed. You know, not just relying on one source for information, but really supporting each other, especially in those really difficult kinds of situations. That's really great. All right. So our next question is a little bit more about kind of organization workflows. What systems or workflows help you coordinate content across campuses or departments?
So our university is we have about 20,000 students, and there are tons of departments and organizations and colleges within the university that all have social media platforms and that sort of thing. And one of the best things that we kind of do is everyone on campus knows that I'm kind of the gatekeeper of social media, right? So especially the main MTSU accounts. So if anyone wants something shared, like from, the Scott Borchetta College of Media and Entertainment, they have a individual Stratcom person for every college within the university, and they know to kind of contact me and say, hey, I'm posting this about, an event that's happening in our college. Can you share it to the main account? Because that's where, all the followers are, right? More followers than like the individual college pages. And then from there, I kind of think of social media as a puzzle. So then I kind of try to work in what I can, right? And move the pieces around that makes sense and that sort of thing. So yeah, so they just kind of know to reach out to me, that I'm their go-to, and the more advance notice I have, the better for them, because there's only so many pieces of that pie that can go around, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And having kind of that central person that is you, to coordinate things, obviously you're kind of the keeper of the keys, keeper of the calendar. So yeah, that, if that works, that works. That's great. Robin, how about you? Do you guys have any particular workflows? I mean, managing more than 100 social media accounts across your district sounds like you guys probably have a good
No
system.
processes, no nothing. We're
No,
just
nothing.
wing it whenever we can. No, we have a clear set of guidelines that we provide to all of our schools and different social media content generators. One thing that we've added this year, and we plan to add more of, are these student content contributors, kind of like ambassadors for you at your different locations. We added our first paid one this year, which is a career and technical education intern. And so they're actually a paid position, and their job is to go out and cover CTE programs, career and technical education programs across our district, and contribute content. So they're creating content on a weekly basis for social media. They have their own, we created their own social media presence for them, so their own pages. But then they use our social news desk to submit their content through our approval process, basically. So, and what's great about it is we can say, oh, this would be great on this high school to share it over here, and maybe they didn't think of this high school over here. And then also we want to use it maybe on the district site, on the district social media pages as well. And so it's really cool because we're just able to reuse content, reuse the pictures that the people are taking, and give it even more reach. So that is something that we're hoping to do as we really add in more student content creators into our little network here. But we're also able to monitor through Social News Desk what's going on at all the different schools, all in one dashboard, which we had never been before. Usually you had to go like find that page, right, and see what did they post. Oh my God, I can't believe they posted that, or whatever, But now I'm able to easily kind of not spy on them, but just kind of monitor what's going on at one glance, right?
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, really like acknowledging some of our schools that are doing an amazing job. So for the first time, we have, some comparable analytics that we can see, and we can see which posts are really taking off and give them more immediate, more real-time feedback about what a great job they're doing.
Yeah, that's great. And I know recognizing job, work well done always tends to beget a little more of that because everybody, I don't know about you guys, but I always get a little competitive if something someone else is doing better. So yeah, having a little bit of that friendly competition definitely helps out. All right. So our next question, what role do templates or shared resources play in keeping your messaging consistent across your school or district?
So for us, we use very specific hashtags that, are hashtag True Blue, hashtag MTSU, hashtag Find Your Blue, which all kind of go back to MTSU, right? Like True Blue is our university kind of slogan. I am True Blue. And then we have different versions of those hashtags for, I choose True Blue, like if you have accepted, a scholarship or things like that, and you are, committing to MTSU. And so we just kind of work with those a lot, and people kind of know to search those things. To see our different posts that kind of go along with those hashtags. And I think that it also kind of helps our community. Like I said, we are a college town, so like I think it also kind of helps our community see all the cool things that we're doing, and that sort of thing.
That's great. That's great. Robin, how about you guys?
Yeah, so we do have a brand guide that we follow, and we try to adhere to that as much as possible when we're putting together our social media as well. We have some clear guidelines for social media regarding what our brand is in terms of our social media brand, right? So we want close-up faces, we want students in every post. So our Instagram feed is a really good example of what we like to see and what we want our school district to be known for. And so it's really giving our different schools guidance on what, by example, really, of what is going to do well. And so we know that the close-up faces of staff, of students, and doing active learning is really going to be the best. And then just consistency, obviously, with other brand elements like our logo on things and what kind of fonts that we're using. We do use one tool that's helped us actually create content in a more branded way is using a CapCut account, so that our social media content creators at the district level are using CapCut, and that's allowed us to share templates and share videos, and also edit each other's videos and making sure that we're always on brand point.
Yeah, that's really smart. And I know a lot of folks use like a Canva team account or things like that when they're creating branded graphics. I know a lot of our customers do that. So yeah, that's great to hear. All right, so we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. And how has using Social News Desk changed the way your organization communicates on social media? Deanne, you want to kick us off?
Oh my gosh, it has made us so much more organized. Just because everyone can see the calendar and the schedule, right? Everyone who has access to S&D, they can log in and see like, oh, there's a post going out at 2 p.m. on Facebook, or oh, there's an Instagram post going out at, noon, So that has helped us so much. Like, yes, I am the overseer of all the things, but sometimes, we would double post, or there would be something where it would be like, oh, I didn't know you posted, like, because Facebook they didn't refresh their feed or whatever, so it looked like nothing was there, right? So sometimes we would be posting on top of each other, which is just annoying because then those posts are, they're not going to do anything.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, it has just helped us so much in that. And then also just planning our content out in advance and just having a place for it to live, right? So like my student team, whenever they're doing their Major Mondays, they're working in advance on those, right? Like we're pretty much done with Major Mondays for the rest of the semester, but they're just hanging out in my drafts until I'm ready to go in and schedule those. So it's just been so helpful in that, and not losing content and just knowing, hey, this is where everything is going to live. So
Yeah, having that single source of truth, that sounds really helpful. Robin,
yes.
Robin, what about your team?
Yeah, I like that what Deanne said. This is where everything's going to live. So it's really taken like the disjointedness of having multiple emails all day long and editing and all of that and putting it all into one dashboard where we can do everything in the same location, right? So if for some reason I reject the post and give further direction to one of my coworkers about how to revise or anything, it just like all happens right there. There's not multiple emails that need to go around, and we're a very small team, right? So it's just it was with a number of social media pages and everything that we need to be keeping track of. It was just becoming too much, and that's why we were looking for a solution. We're just like, there's got to be something better out there that's not going to complicate our lives. It's going to simplify our lives. It's going to kind of take us to the next level because things are just taking too long, and we need to be focused on more on the creative aspect of social media and the strategy behind it rather than the day-to-day functioning of the clunkiness of trying to go to different pages and post and all of that. So, and then of course, we found that the existing tools for like Meta just weren't offering us the flexibility that we needed and the capabilities that we were looking for. And so that's what took us to find Social News Desk and test some different solutions and find the one that was really going to work out best for us.
Awesome. That's great to hear. All right. So we have one more question. What advice would you give to another school just getting started with a more strategic social media presence?
There's going to be a lot of trial and error, a whole lot. And, you never know what's going to be a hit. I mean, sometimes you do. And then sometimes, like our Jellycats, like we knew that would probably do pretty well, but we didn't expect it to blow up like it did, which that's always a great little surprise, right? And another thing that I really, really recommend is having a student team. I could not do my job as well as I do without my students, and they deserve so much credit because I mean they really are my eyes and ears. They're the ones who are eating in the stew every day, right? They're the ones going to classes. They're the ones like involved with different organizations and things on campus. So like seeing it through their eyes, it's totally different than seeing it through my millennial eyes, right? Like as a 30-something-year-old mom, like it's going to look different to me, right? Than my students who just really are fantastic at what they do. And I cannot give them enough credit. And honestly, like when I started at MTSU, my team was super small. I had 3 students and we've now grown to 10. So that is my word of advice. Rely on resources like students and that sort of thing. Not only does it help you, but it also helps give them opportunities and, have stuff for that resume later down the line whenever they're, out looking for their first jobs and whatnot.
That's super cool. Yeah, and having those boots on the ground, all over campus when, you are one person, you literally can't be everywhere at once. So it's like having your little spies out in the world, which is great for discovering content. Robin, how about you guys?
Yeah, so for us, if somebody was just getting kind of like wanting to take their current social media presence to the next level, I know that a big part of that is just really is pitching it to your leadership, right? So whether you're asking for more funding or you want to add a tool like a social news desk or something like that, what's going to make your case stronger and what's going to help you is to tie it to your strategic goals. So if your organization, hopefully they have a set of strategic goals, but if you can take your strategic goals and say, this is the way we're going to reach these strategic goals through social media for our families, for our students, for our staff members, And if you can relate it all back to that, and then also keep that in mind when you are developing posts and when you're giving guidance to whether it's students or to staff members about what great posts are, really like having them narrow in on what strategic goal they're addressing through this, through their posting. So just really keeping that in mind all the way through. And then I think for us, it's really been a game changer when you're looking at content that way, because you can't go wrong really, right? Because whether that goal is to increase attendance with students, let's say that's the goal, they're going, when you're creating that content, you're really going to be thinking through the eyes of a student and what the student barriers are to attendance, and so that's really what I would say. I think as long as you can have a strategy behind your content, that is good. And then the other thing that will really help is measurables. So your metrics are going to tell your story, just like they tell student results and how well your schools and your district is doing. Your metrics behind your social media are going to tell you how well you're doing with your strategies. And so being able to report those metrics is huge. So many times I used to go in front of our school board and just say, oh, this post did great, this post did great, and we're really having some fun over here and stuff. But I wasn't fully telling the statistical story behind how we were moving the needle with parent engagement or with community engagement and what those results were. So the better you can do that, the more data that you have, the more solid your program will be altogether, and the more people will have trust in you.
Awesome. That's great advice. And thank you guys so much for being here today. Before we wrap up and get into our Q&A, if you would like more information about Social News Desk, you can reach out to us at sales@socialnewsdesk.com, or feel free to start a free 2-week trial at socialnewsdesk.com/demo, and our friendly team will be happy to help you out. So now let's get into a little bit of Q&A. It looks like we have a couple of questions. How can small districts with limited staff keep up with the demands of social media? So that's a great question. That's one that we hear a lot. The key for a lot of our smaller districts is simplifying and scheduling, and you can use tools like S&D Dashboard to plan your posts out in advance, kind of like Dan was talking about, sharing your content across multiple school pages, the way Robin mentioned, and also you can repurpose things like evergreen content, like event reminders or highlights from things that have been happening on campus. Templates and shared assets are also really great tools, and that can help everyone stay consistent without having to reinvent the wheel every single time. All right, our next question here. How do you handle misinformation or negative comments on social media without making things worse? So really, what we hear a lot is having a clear response plan. You can have a couple of people monitoring comments or social media chatter using tools like S&D's Inbox or Search and Listen, so nothing slips through. And then when you respond, you want to respond calmly with accurate information when it's appropriate. And of course, remember that not every negative comment requires a response. Sometimes really just showing that you're listening by acknowledging folks' concerns can help diffuse that tension. All right, and we have one more question here. What's the easiest way to make sure our district's social media is compliant with public records laws? So automation is really going to be your friend here. Tools like S&D Archive automatically capture every single post, every comment, edit, deletion, without you having to remember to download anything. So if a records request comes in, you can quickly produce what's needed. You can show that you're compliant. And this also really protects your team from accidental data loss or missing context. All right, that looks like all the questions we have. So we're going to go ahead and end it there. Again, if you'd like to learn more about Social News Desk and S&D Archive, get in touch with us at sales@socialnewsdesk.com or visit socialnewsdesk.com/demo to get a free 2-week trial. And I'd like to thank you guys so much for your time and attention today. And Deanne and Robin, thank you guys so much for your participation during our webinar. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy days to join us and answer some great questions. So thank you guys again, and have a great rest of your day.